Hello, Dunbar. This is Miss Perry with the PLD Library, and today we're going to be talking about source evaluation using a test with kind of a funny name. It's called the CRAAP test. So, my question to you today is: does your source stink? Hopefully not. So, here is why we evaluate websites, especially articles and things that seem like news that are shared on social media, but they're not always news and they're not always real. So, we can't believe everything we read on the internet. And George Washington would not have known what the internet was. But if he did, I'm sure he would want us to be honest on the internet. So this is why we use the CRAAP test, guys. It was developed by a couple of librarians, and it was not developed by me. Molly Beestrom and Sarah Blakesley both kind of refined it until we have the acronym that we use today. And it's just a way to help you remember all the criteria when you are evaluating websites. And you can use it for any source, but particularly websites. So our C, it means currency. And we're talking about the time that it was published, not meaning money. So in this case, you want to look for the copyright or the publication date. You also want to be aware that on the internet, people update stories as well. So you want to look at the date of the last update. And you want to make sure that it is current enough for your topic. The R stands for relevance. When you are searching for information, you want to make sure that this information fits your needs of your academic topic. You want to look for the relation to your topic of all of the sources that you are finding. You want to make sure you're at the appropriate academic level. So if it's meant for elementary students, it's not going to be appropriate for a high school type paper. The A, the first A, stands for authority. And in this case, we are looking for the author, where this information came from. Sometimes it's just one author. Sometimes it's sponsored by a whole group of people. Sometimes it's not signed at all. You want to make sure that there is some kind of author credited with writing this work. And you want to make sure they have some kind of credential, some kind of relevant background that they have written about it. You also want to look at the website URL. .org, standing for organization, used to be a very trustworthy ending when one was looking at URLs. That's not necessarily the case anymore. Anyone can buy a website domain name and make it sound good. So do double check your website URL. The second A in CRAAP is accuracy. This is where you're really going to look at the truthfulness and the correctness of your source. You want to look that the author has provided not just opinions, but has provided sources and evidence. You want to look for specifically for science. You want to look for peer reviews. You want to see that this is verified by other sources, not just from the authors themselves. Now, the P in CRAAP stands for the purpose. You want to look at the reason why the source exists at all. So, if it's just there to inform or to teach you, that may be pretty benign. However, if it's there to sell you something, their purpose is to get clicks, they may not be that trustworthy. Sometimes sources are there just to entertain for fun, and sometimes they're there to persuade. So you want to make sure you understand the intention of the source. You want to look for any bias, and that is very clear in the bias language that you can look for. You want to make sure that there's facts and not necessarily only opinions presented, and then you want to look for a balance. So the main idea you have to think about here is when you are evaluating sources, just think. You got to use your brain. You have to ask questions and analyze. You have to weigh the evidence in the source. And then you have to verify whether the information is correct or not, because it isn't always. So, do you think it's always easy to spot a bad source? This is a .org website for the DHMO.org, the dihydrogen monoxide research division. So, you had never heard of this before. You might say, hey, this actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's a .org, so that makes it sound like legitimate. They have it there. It's here. It has the United States Environmental Assessment Center seal of approval right here. But then you start like really using all of your thinking processes, and you realize that maybe something is wrong here. First of all, there's a PayPal link at the bottom. Okay. At the top, did you see that they were selling merch? Support the cause. Go to the dhmo.org store. So the whole idea here is that it says there's a big controversy surrounding dihydrogen monoxide. If you haven't figured it out yet, dihydrogen monoxide is H2O, aka water. It says a little bit later on that millions of deaths are caused every year from water, and if you are subjected to too much dihydrogen monoxide, you can die. Well, yes, of course, you might drown if you're in too much water, if you inhale too much water. So the whole idea here is that you shouldn't trust everything. This is out there on the internet. You can look it up right now, the dhmo.org. It's not real. So again, when evaluating sources, when you see something on the internet, make sure you're thinking. Ask those questions. Really analyze the evidence that you're given and reflect and verify it, because not everything on the internet is real. Happy researching.